What's up, Johnny? My friend? Alright, we were a few minutes behind this morning. Who rebooted at the last minute. I had everything kind of set up to start the stream here. And VLC was not working to feed in the output from the fruit jam. But we got it rebooted, came back up, and it's doing alright now. Me for a minute here, we'll be ready to go. Since I've been out of the loop too long, just realized I have no idea what Fruit Jam OS is. All right, you will see momentarily. In fact, you chose a good day to pop in. It is. I can give you the quick rundown before we even dive into it, though. It's basically a operating system, like a mini, very self-contained, very small operating system that runs on Fruit Jam. And it's got a launcher and an editor, and it allows you to launch into other programs and games and things on the Fruit Jam. So it's kind of like a desktop environment, essentially, for the Fruit Jam. A very basic one, and then also an editor that lets you edit code files on the device. Let's see. I think I do want this. And then, like, as time goes on, I imagine it may gain more functionality. Right now, it's essentially the launcher and the editor, and then there's a bunch of apps, like all the different games and Learn Guide projects that we have done for Metro, RP2350, all are being sort of, they ultimately were the whole time sort of Fruit Jam projects in disguise. But they're being vetted and tested out and tweaked as necessary to run on the Fruit Jam as well. All right, yes. So good morning. I am finally set up. Thanks to everyone who's watching. If you are new and don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. I usually stream at this time each week around 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. We're a few minutes late this morning, like I mentioned before. But around this time, 10 a.m. Central Time, I usually stream some work on CircuitPython stuff. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more at the main website for it right here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. Typically, the way this works, you plug it into your computer, it shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive. And then when you save it, the microcontroller, the actual tiny computer in here, will run that Python code for you. Today, we are working on the Fruit Jam, which is very much like a tiny computer because it's kind of designed to be this little credit card sized, all-in-one sort of gaming device or, small, old personal computer, right? When we say personal computer, we don't mean like modern day gaming rig or laptop or something like that. This is like sort of Commodore era personal computer, perhaps a little later than that because it's got some nice graphics and things as well. Obviously, HDMI port there for DVI video out, which is something that Commodore obviously didn't enjoy at the time. But it's kind of a modern take on that sort of era of computing, sort of Commodore style devices that plug into your TV You know, in that case, the keyboard was built in. In this case, the keyboard plugs in over USB. Got some storage with an SD card. It's got a Wi-Fi connection there. It's got audio out. So it can do all these different things to function as a sort of little small desktop type thing. What is up, C. Grover? Nice to see you today, my friend. As always, we'll say thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They make CircuitPython possible by paying a team of folks, including myself, who work on CircuitPython. It is an open source project. All the code is published under very permissible licenses. You're allowed to use it in your own projects. You're allowed to port your own devices to use CircuitPython. You can, make products with it and sell them if you would like. This is all free for anyone to do, and Adafruit makes it possible, again, by paying a team of developers to work on that software and publish it under that open source license. And if you would like to help support them and CircuitPython, one of the easiest ways to do it is purchase hardware from them at their website, adafruit.com, where you can find not only many microcontrollers that run CircuitPython, but also all sorts of stuff that you can hook up to your microcontroller to build projects and stuff with, as well as, of course, the whole Learn system. Over here, Learn, this is not really about buying anything. This is about documenting projects and devices. So over here, you can find all sorts of fun things to use Adafruit and other hardware for, and then get step-by-step instructions on how to build that stuff. So as always, thanks to them and everyone who purchases hardware from them. Paul Cutler says, good morning. My Fruit Jam should be here on Monday. A little excited. Nice. Yeah, nice to see you, Paul. And yeah, totally. It's got me excited as well. I kind of missed this era in computing. I didn't necessarily, my first computers were a little later than this, like DOS, Windows 3.1 era, Doom, that sort of thing. So I missed this era in computing, and having this little device and its own little OS and stuff has definitely got me excited to tinker with this thing a lot, for sure. So today I'm just kind of doing a bit of a grab bag of stuff that needs to be done. So the Fruit Jam just recently, the first handful of hardware went in the shop. So like Paul mentioned there, some folks were able to order some this past week, and those are shipping out now. And there are more coming, of course. There's another batch coming, so to speak, and then I think there's some more, obviously, in the works as well as we move forward through summer and fall. Ideally, we're looking to build more of those things for sure. But it is super cool to have folks finally getting their hands on it, right? It's so cool to see it come to fruition. I've had the privilege of working on some of the pre-release hardware and working on some of the software and stuff for it, and there's something really special about seeing it finally go for sale and get in people's hands and start seeing what people do with it. Very special for sure. So yeah, Fruit Jam OS, I will start to answer that question by just showing what it does here. We'll get this loaded up. We'll also get device workspace. So I think yesterday I was testing out the Learn Guide stuff for the Fruit Jam, and I overwrote the launcher with the code we were testing. But I think, yeah, right here is code launcher. This one is what? Mouse? This is mouse. Okay. Again, work. So we have a neat problem where my computer doesn't want to basically write to this. So we need to figure out, is all of my computer under this spell where it thinks it can't write to it, or only certain parts? Because unfortunately, you kind of have this weird thing going on sometimes where some parts of my computer, some parts of my Linux operating system computer here, for whatever reason, don't quite realize that they do actually have the ability to write to the drive. All right, that's definitely read-only. So we'll start by just rebooting that with the reset button. See what happens when it comes back up. I'll also double check BootPy. Maybe we'll need to make sure I didn't do that yesterday. We did. We even got in. Did we get into the SD card stuff? Have anything? So there are arguments to make it writable, but theoretically it shouldn't have been. Shouldn't have got those arguments set. So I don't. Been only at. Any different now? I don't know. Computer fluke there was just didn't mount right or whatever. I think that's on my computer more than it is the FruitJam, honestly, because like I was saying, the my file manager, sometimes I go to copy paste a file and it's like, can't do this. Like especially I noticed this for copying UF2 files, like to update CircuitPython, I'll go copy paste and it's like I can't paste this here, and then I go to the terminal, I use CP and it does it. It doesn't explain, so I don't know exactly sure which part of the computer is under the impression that it can't write to it or why, but sometimes it does. Save this, and then I think I may have auto reload off right now. I tend to roll usually with auto reload off because my computer also tends to write files kind of a lot and then causes the thing to reset a bunch. Okay, so this is FruitJam OS Launcher. It has a page, you know, it's multiple pages of apps here, so each icon is an app. I have a keyboard plugged in. What's up also, Gordy G over on YouTube. A mini controller bigger than a microcontroller, smaller than an SBC. Yeah, there you go. Like a mini controller. Yeah, good morning to you as well. So keyboard is plugged in, standard USB keyboard. You can use arrows to arrow around. You can hit the arrow there on the side in order to go to the next page. You can also use numbers. So like if I just press page 1, number 1, it takes me back to page 1. Number 2 takes me to number 2. And you can have more than 2 pages. Right now there are 6 apps loaded on my device here, which is why we have 6 icons and only 2 pages, or 6 times 2, 12 actually. 6 times 2, 2 pages, 6 per page. And then the mouse might work. The mouse does not want to work right now. If you have a mouse maybe only plugged in, I don't know, I'll have to play with that. That's one thing we can look at. Right now I have a keyboard and a mouse. Essentially the mouse is not doing anything. Actually, this mouse might be dead though. Honestly, this mouse might be dead because I don't really see anything happening down there. Lights wise, but we did test it yesterday, but I also no idea when I changed the battery last. But in any case, I was using the keyboard to navigate. It should also work with a mouse if you have a mouse plugged in, so it pops up a little mouse. You can go around and click on the icons instead of keyboarding them. And then there are all the different projects we've done in Learn that are built in here. So actually, one thing I know for sure that I want to do is in the editor, we could try this. So I'm going to press E. There's a little legend up here that tells you what the different buttons do. So arrow keys move. The E button will open the editor on the file that you're highlighted on. So if I have Flappy Nyan Cat highlighted right here, I'm going to press E, and that's going to open up the editor to the code for Flappy Nyan Cat. I just saw editor code not found, which is... Huh. Interesting. I don't know why... I'm not sure what printed that. Or why it wouldn't have been able to find that file. But it did launch into the editor, so it was like... It worked. But we'll need to probably figure out why it printed that. Gordy G over on YouTube says, my first computer was IBM PC with BRS. There's a PET at school. My friends had VIC-20s and C64s. Nice. Yeah, the school computers, I did have school computers in elementary school. I don't know what they were though. I'm kind of, they might have been IBMs, honestly. They were like, you needed it was back in the day, you needed the floppy in. Like, if you took the floppy out, then it wouldn't boot up. So it was like, boot disk was like literal floppy. You take this out, then it won't boot. And then really the school computers, all we did on there was like typing games and what you call it, Oregon Trail. But then my first computer at home was like the DOS era, had like a paint program and Doom and a couple other basic games. Okay. It did say mouse found actually. So, oh, interesting. Yeah, the mouse is here. So I can actually, that's the mouse inside of CircuitPython. Not to be confused with this mouse over here. This is on my PC. So this lets me actually just click to move the cursor around, which is nice when you're inside the editor. But really what we need to fix is the case where you have a combo device. So this is working fine because I have a regular keyboard, regular USB keyboard, and a regular USB mouse plugged in. I'm actually going to shift that around right now. We'll probably have to reset anyway. I'm going to unplug this keyboard, I'm going to unplug this mouse, and I'm going to plug in a combo device. Logitech keyboard mouse. Oh, nice. That already, it's already taken effect. So I'm already just pressing Control-C on that, and it broke out of there. It is really cool that the core is able to hot plug like that. Is really nice. Those too young, the BRS is the big red switch to turn on the power on and off. Nice. IBM including the minis and the mainframes. I'm trying to think. I think we had buttons. I think they were sort of nondescript beige, the same as the rest of the box, but I can't really remember. Okay, so yeah, here's what we're trying to fix. So I'm in the editor now, and I'm pressing arrow keys as nothing has happened. And if we look in the very... Actually, getting covered by me, isn't it? If I look right by my eyes right here, if I look this way, there's a mouse right there. And that mouse is because it has detected the combination keyboard mouse as a mouse and is not letting it be a keyboard. So we have two possible ways to fix this. At least two. The two that come to mind to me that are most likely for me to do them are... Well, it basically boils down to try to get them to both work together or not. And I think I'm leaning towards not, essentially. I think what I want is if you have a combo device right now, at least, it should just be a keyboard. Theoretically, maybe it would be possible for it to do both, but the problem/challenge with that is right now the way we get keyboard input it's buried in here somewhere. Right now, the way we get input is basically stdin read, which is super convenient, super easy, in spite of the fact that it is kind of buried here, in this case, inside of dang, and all these different layers and things. If we want to handle both, we need to micromanage the keyboard more. We need to like read raw data from the keyboard and determine more painstakingly what it means. Whereas right now we just get back a character when a key is pressed, which is a lot more convenient. And I don't want to give up that convenience yet. The crux of this is that the core So we are calling what? We're calling find the right code file though. Find an init boot mouse. Little overkill on the PC. We have find an init boot mouse, but what this does under the hood is it's going to call like detach kernel or whatever. I want the Python version of this. Yep, install, upgrade, this be host mouse. Mice? Mouse or mouse? Mouse, okay. Load folder maybe instead of the file. Yeah, 5.5. 5.5. The actual floppies, the floppies that were actually floppy. So in here, this is what we called from the editor code. It's gonna go loop over all the core devices, which are devices that are connected to USB. It's gonna get the configuration descriptor, and it's gonna decide, do I think this descriptor could be a mouse or not, based on what data it has in it. And if it is a mouse, then it's gonna call this is kernel driver active, and if it is, then it's gonna detach it from the kernel driver, and when this happens, that means stdin is no longer gonna work for that device, which this is calling it a mouse, but in our case, we know it's a mouse keyboard. So effectively, we don't really want this to happen in the editor when it's a combo device connected. So I am thinking actually device in core. How many devices does this print? Does it only print one? Wondering about combo devices. Want one combo and one hub. Yeah, combo devices work, but they don't. The code is not there now for them, for both sides to work at once. Right now, they're kind of either or. You can use it as one, or you can switch it over to the other. Or if you write a fair amount of code, you could do them together. But again, you got to micromanage the keyboard stuff rather than just getting clean like characters that were pressed. I think. To be clear, also, I haven't actually done it, but I just believe it's possible. Does this return 1 or 2? And can I just call it, or is it like return an iterator? Guess that's an iterator. Can I call length on that? And not call length on that. Okay, can I... That's weird that I can loop over it, but I can't call length on it. To be honest, that's really weird to me. Core device in this dev. Oh. I just found a bug in the REPL, I think. So I think what I did is put a space here. I think I tried to backspace, but I don't think it made it all the way back. And now it like won't run my loop. I guess my theory is because there's a space stuck here. Oh, actually this is totally wrong too. So that's probably part of it. Okay. Try this again. Surprised that didn't crash actually. Okay. That's fine though. I don't care what that thing is. I really just care that there's only one of them. Ah, that's I really wish that had a length. What was that device again? Or I mean, what was that object? We might take a brief detour here. Might go on a little... We might go on a little detour, actually. To the core land. Just take a small... Not gonna try to get sucked in peek at... Would it be enormously difficult to... make that have a length? Yeah, it would be difficult. Well, I don't know if it would be difficult, but I don't know how to do it, which makes it difficult to me. Basically, this thing seems to be only an iterator. I was thinking we might find like a full object here and could maybe just add a length function to it, but that's not really what's happening. Okay. Okay. Back out of there. So the downside to this is because we have no length, we are basically going to end up looping this thing twice. So we're going to go... We are going to go device, USB device count, USB device count equals 0. For device in USB.core.find all true +1, and then if device count is greater than 1, then endpoints on one USB. Yeah, so the combo device is 2 endpoints on one USB, but in the core, the way the API works currently, you have to detach what I think is the whole device, not just like an endpoint. And to be clear, I don't actually know what all these different things mean. Like I'm using these terms and the API uses these terms, but I don't actually have knowledge of USB host internally. I need to read the book that Scott said is the book to read. And I have not. But I don't actually know for certain, but I think the deal is like this combo device, one device, multiple endpoints. Theoretically, it should be possible to use them happily together. It's just right now accessing one of the endpoints, like the mouse, for instance, requires calling detach from kernel, which disables all the input, like the keyboard, essentially. If the thing was already attached as a keyboard, when you detach it, it's no longer a keyboard for STDN. I'm hoping that we can have in the core code that will maybe let you just, like maybe the core could occupy only an endpoint, and then when you detach only an endpoint, and then maybe then we could have the core do its thing with the keyboard and the CircuitPython code, the Python code layer do its thing with the mouse endpoint. I'm hoping something like that will be possible, rather than having to like micromanage the raw data. If it turns out that it's not, though, we could have a library that's like combo library, right? And then it manages it for you and gives you a character with a similar API to STDN. Would maybe not be end of the world all the way, but all right. So if we have more than one device, then we're gonna go and find mouse there. I am gonna just do mouse none so that this will not be a not defined error. So theoretically now it should not, it should make the keyboard work in the editor, but not the mouse. We go memory E to edit. This takes us here. Yeah, no more mouse in the upper right corner. And keyboard now has control. All right, let's PR that. And the import also we need, but I'll get it separate. MOS editor here, actually. Yeah. Oh, that bit. Kind of in a weird order. Probably do that at some point. Let this run pre-commit like rough on the code. Domain. Technically, we are doing another editor fix. There you go, a mouse hole. Let's say, let's make a new one. Let's say word mouse combo. Hmm. Fine. Oh. Going down a mouse hole, I gotcha. There you go, instead of a rabbit hole. Like that. That should be good. Only try to find mouse if there are at least 2 devices. Editor. Thank you to Retired Wizard also, by the way. Retired Wizard's done the PyDOS app that's in there. I quit out of this, which is Control C. So this first one here, PyDOS, was made by a Retired Wizard community member. This is like a DOS shell, so you can do like dir, see the list of your files, handful of other DOS commands, which I do not know by heart, but this thing supports them. That's super cool. So there's this. We can check this out while we're here. Separation. Basic. Oh, using it. It's basically using an F string instead of a plus, but then also adding apps. Yeah, okay. Vision is good. There's a bunch of new flags documented. Oh, there is a help, so we could see. Forgot about that. I think I actually did discover that last time. Help. Give us a list of commands, I think. There we go. Yeah. Dir, rename, delete, type, cd, make dir, remove dir, copy. Help. Set prompt path. Exit version. Probably memory, I guess. Date, time, go to, if. Even basic batch stuff. So can you run? Pexec? Do a single Python command. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I never considered that. Execute a Python command from inside of DOS. Huh. I wonder if you can run a batch file. I don't see a way. But it supports batch commands. I wonder if you were to make a text file with .bat, how hard it would be to make it run that. In any case, though, that's what this one is. If DOS was your nostalgia computer, then you may find yourself at home here for sure. So this will resolve this, number 30. All right, and we are still early days, cutting edge FruitJam OS, so I have been kind of committing, proving, and merging without waiting, just so we can get stuff in. Although we are quickly approaching the point where I will stop just merging my own PRs and start waiting for reviews and stuff, but I think we're not there quite yet. I do still want to clean up some of this stuff without having to wait like for the weekday and someone else to be able to review. What are the other ones? So there is Minesweeper, could use a title. So that's over in the Learn Guide repo. Examples. I should commit this because I have a bunch of these now. Python examples. I'll just commit locally. We don't need to push yet. Oh, I meant to do update instead of checkout, and now this is gonna take a minute and lock out the rest of my PyCharm instances, which is a nice trick. Back to here, Control C. Let me launch editor. I wonder what was up with that one where it said that it couldn't find. But it does not do that if you just launch the editor by itself. So every other time I launched it, I was always doing E on one of the apps to edit that app's code file. This time I just went to the editor and launched it as a standalone, and then it lets you choose your file or create a new file. But if I do E, printing that. So the weird thing is, soft reboot, auto reload is off, and then it prints that, which makes me think it comes from BootPy. Can't do anything in any of these because this is like choking its ability to look at files, which is okay. I need to probably update my PyCharm. Open editors in position. Why that's taking so long. I do like PyCharm. PyCharm has a lot of very useful things built into it, but there are times where it does get a little stuck. I'm kind of frustrating. Yeah, I'm not sure if it can run batch or not. I was asking about that. You may be behind live when you catch up, Gordy G. You may be. There's usually a bit of a delay, but you're a few minutes behind. Of course, if you haven't seen it, then it's best to just watch it anyway. Like what I do. I watch a lot of streams actually behind real time. I suspect if it can't, that it would be easy to add, but I also don't know if I mean, I assume DOS has that, right? Surely DOS you can run a batch, but I don't know. Is it run or exec or what? I don't actually know I don't know the like what DOS command it would actually be in real DOS, not in Python. I mean, it will end up being the same if we make it, I'm sure, but Minesweeper right there. So for FruitJam OS, the way that it gets the title and the icon are from a file called metadata.json, like this. It can have a title and it can have a reference to an icon. The icon can be a 64 by 64 bitmap at least. Maybe, I don't know for sure if it supports other image types, but it might, but I'm not sure. And then this can only be like 10 characters, I think. So mine, that's probably not going to fit. Thing is probably not going to fit. I'm also just, well, we can, I'll delete that in a minute. That when we test this easily by going to, nice. And then inside of apps, this is where all your FruitJam apps, FruitJam OS apps live. So in there, we're going to go to Minecraft, no, Minesweeper. Don't have Minecraft yet. One day, maybe. Go to an if would only make sense if it's in a batch file. Original batch had more commands. Yeah, I mean, you could do it sort of REPL style, like Python, but it would get very unwieldy. Sure. Well, I don't know actually if you can do a line number on the REPL. Maybe there must be a way to do batch files, I guess. Control C, this will take us back to launcher. And I think it's on page 2. Oh, it fits. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11? All right, I guess you can have 11. At least. I'm pretty sure that's close to the limit, though. Okay, and then for the icon, it would be cool to have, like, something. It's usually the spiky ball, right? Comes back if we just image search that. Game board. I feel like the spiky ball is pretty well recognized as Minesweeper, right? Does this one use spiky balls in the thing here? Oh, doesn't make it all the way. Okay, do the code. Actually, the icons. So if it draws an icon, it must be a file, probably. Okay, yeah, totally it has spiky balls. I think we just do like a 64 by 64 one of those. Quick way to create a text file from the command line was echo. Oh, interesting. So you can do it kind of like cat. On Linux can do that. I'm not sure if it's cat or not. Background, I think we do like sort of grayish. Be kind of like the tiles on the game, right? In fact, if we wanted, we could get the exact same gray. Nope. Okay. I'm gonna go in by 3 each way. Be a little more. Yeah, there we go. Thing. Why is my... Oh. Why is my paintbrush on 1 pixel but not square? What is spacing? Get 3 by 1. Like, oh, aspect ratio. Is that what this? Aspect ratio. 1. Still not. Okay. Now the weird thing is with a brush size of 2, it's definitely a 3 by 3, which is in the middle. Yeah. Hmm. That one we are gonna make 3, I think. And DOS run GTH bat. Let's type GTH at the command prompt. Oh, so it doesn't have a separate. Maybe that's why it wasn't in. Maybe that's why it was not in the help command. Let's try it. Let's go. Actually, let's go editor. Then I can go saves. Actually, empty. I don't know if this is going to be in the right spot. Yeah. Okay, so I think I actually need to do say. Oh, actually, that went back one. I need to do new again. Then saves slash stop bat. Not create read only. Huh. I thought that would work actually. I'm surprised that one didn't work. Maybe it. Oh, it will actually need to be. It will need to be slash saves because editor is inside of apps editor, right? So current working directory is in there. So we need to go to the root slash saves test.bat. There we go. Okay. So then echo work like this. Control S for save. Save and exit actually. There's a different one for save and don't exit, but didn't do it. Then PyDOS. So then maybe just slash saves slash test dot bat. Crash though. Nice. Okay. Yeah. We'd have to look at the code or ask Retired Wizard. Retired Wizard may watch. It's, yeah. Can you read a file? How do you read a file? Go. Oops, not savers. Like very out of practice typing on a standard keyboard. I use a Kinesis Vantage. Like I have a funky layout compared to a regular keyboard, sorta. Okay, it is. Oh, okay. That file is there, but it's empty. Seemingly, it shows 0 bytes. So our save might not have worked actually. We might have another bug in the editor. Truthfully. I don't recall for sure if I ever tested saving files inside of saves. So the cool thing about saves is that you can do it without having to remount. Try Control C. Oh wait, we can't use Control C for that. Why did it say Control C? It's wraparound. We should make this wraparound. Oh, but it's could be a longer list. Ugh. Yeah, I don't think saving is working. But also this. Oh, that's exit no save. I can't read. Okay. All right, so I totally pressed Control S earlier and it exited. If I smash that and then do Control S. Did I not? I swore I did. Did. Not though. Save. Saved. Exit. Gonna cheat and go back to my real keyboard by putting the input in here instead. Nice. It does work. So yeah, you totally can. And you could presumably do the line numbers and stuff as well, and then the go-to loops and everything. Sweet. I do like the way these icons had the white thing as like the glare or whatever, right? I think that's a nice touch. I don't know the right shape to make it. Something like that I think is probably best, but I don't really like the placement. Probably the best that I can do with my artistic. Yeah. Okay. Not the prettiest Minesweeper you've ever seen, probably, but I will make it text. I'm actually just gonna put it here first. Also metadata. A deleted icon, right? Yeah. Try to remember to keep the screen on the left so that I don't cover it up with the Discord. I forget that sometimes. Page 2. Nice. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks all right. Probably, honestly, it probably would have been good to not go all the way to the edge. So, like, maybe the circle should be even smaller. Maybe the circle should be even smaller, and then the line should not go all the way to the edge, but I don't, you know, I don't want to spend super duper long time just micro obsessing over the icon. Or to put it another way, I have spent enough time already obsessing over some of the other icons. Did not probably spend too much more. But that's good. It's better than the question mark. Gets us there. We could put it. Can you do that? I think we could put it in. I think we could put it inside of there. might work. That would be nice if we can, because that'll keep it like in the structure that the Minesweeper app is already in. Ooh, no. Sadness. Where does it do that? Imported image format. Icon bitmap. That's in code 284. Waiting for release. Oh, we're not in Minesweeper. We're in the launcher. Like, that is not sweet. 284. Oh, we could get rid of these. That is the old hard-coded list of apps from before it would even find them in the folder. So it's calling image load on app icon. Huh. I don't know how this ever worked. Unless if app icon gets... I don't know how that is... Okay. I think that it wasn't done pasting the image in the new spot, right? Because I had to move the image from the root of the Minesweeper directory into bitmaps. My computer made it seem like that was done almost instantaneously. I suspect it was still working the first time I ran it, so when it tried to load that image, the file wasn't complete. It totally does just work without anything special. I just had to wait an extra second. And I have totally seen that before where my computer thinks that manipulating that file is done, but CircuitPython is not actually done yet. All right, cool. So that is nice that we can have it inside of its own little bitmaps folder there. I do like that. Go. Minesweeper title icon M. Grab the whole thing. Okay. Another thing I would like to look at is what is discussed here about, effectively it boils down to what's the best way to know whether the SD card's mounted or not. If it were me, I'd make the 45 spikes shorter. Yeah. Yeah, I do think they would probably look better not going out to the edge there. Better to go down the icon hole late at night. Yeah, there you go. I think, yeah, totally. Because they do look longer. If they were about half as long, it might look more natural. And it'd be kind of nice if the whole thing was smaller and the side spikes were shorter too, so they didn't go all the way out. So there was a full gray around it. Here's what I'll do is I'll save this as a GIMP file as well, so it's easy to, I guess the bitmap's easy to modify as well. I could actually come back to it with its different layers and modify this later. And so I was thinking about this actually before the stream. And I got to thinking, what does this click on? Storage. I got to thinking about this. What does this do? I don't know if I've ever called this. Storage.getMount path. So what does that do? So right now I have no SD card plugged in. Sure. Valid argument. Valid argument. Didn't that say string? Mount path string. Invalid. Take another slight detour into the core code land. Begin the bottom of what that's talking about. Usually the validation happens here, but instead it's just literally calling straight through to shared module, common house storage get mount. It must raise the exception from inside there. Usually you would see, like, in a lot of CircuitPython code here in shared bindings, you would see like validate the arguments and then raise an exception if they're wrong, including things like invalid string or whatever this is ultimately mad about. Called storage object from path. Which says absolute mount path, common HAL OS path, absolute path. I don't know. Loop over all the mounts? I don't even know what that's doing. String compare. I mean, it must be looping over all the mounts, I think, but precise syntax is fascinating. This is a nice touch. A for loop with a while loop condition. Nice touch. Oh my. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, so that's the loop variable. The loop condition, usually a for loop, the condition would be like greater than whatever, right? This time it's not greater than, it's not equal to. So we continue looping while this is not equal to null. And then with each iteration, usually it would be like +1, for instance, or -1. Instead, it's like set this to set this to the address of whatever is pointed to by next, which is accessed from this pointer. Actually, this is probably taking, oh, I don't know. And then once we're in, so we're looping over, I assume we're looping over all the mounts. We're comparing the current mount with the one that was passed in by the user. And if they match, then we return that object. Otherwise, we return this. Okay. Okay. I would try to make the case that returning none might be a thing that this should do. Because it's not an invalid argument, in my opinion. It's just there's not a mount there. It's not invalid to ask for a mount where there's not one. I don't feel. Should be, at least. But that's got to be what's going on, right? Inval, that's got to stand for invalid. Got to be invalid argument, I think. Okay, so then I think that means it's not mounted, right? So theoretically, we could do try catch OS error. That would tell us that this is not mounted. Next thing I need to do is find which one of the 5 micro SD cards on my desk is not a Raspberry Pi and instead a CircuitPython, or just a storage thing that I can put some stuff on. Yeah, that'll work. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Mount that from the computer. So I'm going to plug this SD card into the Fruit Jam. I'm going to reset button because I don't know if that... I'm not sure if that's hot pluggable like the keyboard is. We could test it, I guess, but I'm usually a just like start from a fresh thing type of person mostly. Okay. Back to the REPL. So now what happens if we run this? Import storage storage.get. PyCharm froze up on me again. I think it's probably just noticed that the drive disappeared and came back, and it's like, let me index every file on this entire drive. Best viewers on Streamboo. Remove the space. I'm not going to remove the space. I don't want to buy viewers on Streamboo. I don't even know what Streamboo is, my friend. Why would someone buy viewers on that? That makes no sense, brother. I'm afraid I have to ban you from, At least you did not tell me your headphones were broken, though. I doubt you can hear me. But if you can hear me, know that I commend you for not telling me that your headphones are broken and asking me to reply to you in the chat. I appreciate that you didn't do that, but I don't want to buy viewers. Ooh, okay. Yeah, okay. So that's fine. So we can just, I mean, like, I'm not sure the history of this, if there's like, I mean, is storage, I don't think, is storage a thing on CPython? I don't think it is it? Not a thing. So we're not trying to match like a CPython API. I mean, I think none there would be nice. Like, none is usually like the thing you ask for doesn't exist. I feel like that's a pretty good conveyance of what actually happened there. But no matter, we do know that you could catch the OS error. So code that checks for the SD card can basically look like this. SD check, import storage, try storage.get mount /SD. We do need to make sure not to do the trailing slash there. Doesn't like that for some reason, but that's fine. Except OS error, print storage is not, well, SD card not mounted. Print SD card is mounted. And if we really wanted to, we could say like, oop. Yeah. Okay, and then just to make sure, I'm going to remove that micro SD card. Take that back out. I'm going to reset button again, because again, I don't know if it's hot, pluggable, unpluggable, really. Nice. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. So this is not the exact same as what Dan said. It'd be useful to have some API that returns all the current mounts. This does not do that. But it does tell us if SD is mounted. You could theoretically have an API that returns all of them, though, because based on what we saw here, right, this is looping over all the mounts. Theoretically, we could have some other function that also does this, but builds up a list or a tuple or something and returns it to the Python code. This one is not, but like there could be one that did added. This I think is fine though for SD. I don't know if there's ever, is there any situation where there would be another thing mounted? Thumb drive, I guess, if you had a USB thumb drive plugged into USB host. I'm not sure if it actually works correctly right now or not, but theoretically that's like a thing it could happen. Yeah. Anything else though? I cannot think of any other reason. Maybe if someday in the far-flung future we had like network drive or something, but right now that's not really in the mix. Yeah. Okay. I think this is probably the best way to do it for now. But if we do add the list thing like this, it'd be cool, because then you could just call that, and then you could say like if SD in list, right? And then it would, well, it depends what this returns. If it returns VFS objects instead of names, then you might have to check it somehow. Okay. Let's, so link to this one from this one. Sometimes I speak in the first person, but without the pronoun I. Trying to get better about not doing that. This one failed. Oh. Probably just needs to rerun. I'm just gonna try to rerun it. I think it looks like it tried to hit something, tried to fetch something from the internet and failed. Like it doesn't have retry logic or anything. Or what it would be fetching from GitHub off the top of my head during the build. Now there's another action that definitely fetches from GitHub, like the version, the current highest tag, the latest tag version. That definitely comes from GitHub API, but that's in the check that decides whether or not to make a new release at night, whereas this is just building. I don't even know. It has to download from Learn. It downloads the projects, but that's not GitHub. Oh. Yeah, it passed the second time. I think that was just... Maybe we can look in here real fast. Is there a github.com anywhere in build? That's... I mean, these are all Adafruit URLs. There's Circup. Maybe Circup. The Circup tries to hit GitHub to download the bundle, I think. I'm not positive on that though. So maybe Circup failed inside the build. and therefore the build failed. That could be. But because it passed the second time, I'm going to try to pretend that I didn't see it fail the time before. I don't even think it will let me approve it, actually, but I'm going to merge it. Going to make an issue. Should add pre-commit format. Title. Just go with we should add pre-commit with code format. Okay. I think I am going to wrap it up there for today. Go out and enjoy the non-scorching heat we have been blessed with, which is because it's been quite hot and quite humid here for a while. And it is now much more reasonable. I think I'm going to go out for a walk, get some fresh air. Thanks to everyone for watching. As I noted on the deep dive last night, there is no deep dive on the 8th, most likely, or I will not be doing a deep dive on the 8th. I have not talked to Scott, but I do not think that he will be either. But like, maybe, I don't know. But definitely not me on the 8th, so no deep dive, most likely on the 8th, and then actually there will be no stream for me next Saturday either. Next weekend is kind of like hanging out with my wife. It's her birthday, so we're going to be out doing all sorts of fun stuff. So no stream for me on Saturday or Friday for deep dive, but then the following week, obviously 15th is CircuitPython Day. On CircuitPython Day, what I have done the last couple of years and will do this year as well is I'll do a game jam stream. Usually I do the last slot of the night so that if I run late, it doesn't matter. No one's like waiting on me to wrap up or anything. So I think it's at 6 or 6:30, but I'm not sure if that's Eastern or Central, so I'd have to go look. But essentially my plan is the last stream of the day, the last like scheduled stream on CircuitPython Day will be a game jam stream, and that's on Friday the 15th, and then I should be back I think on the 16th here Saturday morning for my stream. So until then, I will bid you farewell. I will say that I hope you have a good rest of your day and a good weekend, and I will see you back on Game Jam stream on the 15th, and then back here 2 weeks on the 16th. Until then, so long, and thanks for watching.